The theatre of betrayal, why Fromville monsters wear costumes. In Fromville, the monsters aren't predators, they're performers. They don't wear the faces of milkmen, nurses, or cowboys by accident. They are parodies of the very archetypes we trust. This isn't a hunt, it's a ritual humiliation of human connection. When the real sheriff forced Boyd to watch Tianchen die, it wasn't about cruelty, it was a fatality on Boyd's role as a protector. Today, we decode the stage play of Fromville and why the town's original sin was a collective choice to sacrifice the heart to save the system.
This isn't merely a theory about monsters, it's an exploration of systemic pathology. In Fromville, the creatures aren't just predators, they're performers. The town isn't a cage, it's a stage. And the script they're enacting reveals the persistent betrayal of human connection. They dress up as nurse, cowboy, milkman, bride, librarian, etc. These mid-century archetypes symbolize trust, care, order, and belonging. They are parodies of care, provision, and authority. Their aim isn't biological survival, it's the systematic dismantling of human relationships. They don't just take lives, they create an existential crack. Kevin doesn't perish from weakness, he dies because loneliness lures him into betraying boundaries. Megan doesn't fall due to naivety, she dies because the image of grandmother overrides her caution. Boyd isn't physically tortured when Tianchen is killed, his authority is put to the test. The sheriff watches helplessly, and the very essence of authority crumbles on stage. Boyd witnessed Tianchen's death not out of cruelty, but as a ritual humiliation of his role as protector. The system mocks the very notion that a sheriff or leader can genuinely safeguard anyone. It illustrates that structure without heart is ultimately hollow. To put it simple, the real sheriff asks Sheriff wannabe, let's see. Then Tianchen screaming, Boyd keeps saying, look at me. Tianchen look at the real sheriff instead. That moment, Boyd got fatality. Never try outsmart the system again, Boyd. Then the real sheriff coming into his office looking at Fatima middle fingers. Ellis laughs instantly. Each attack is a theatrical inversion. The protector fails, caregiver deceives, lover betrays, child trusts and pays. This isn't slaughter, it's reenactment. Something significant occurred, not random horror. Not chaotic violence, a choice. 12 adults opted for structure over children. Whether famine, plague, war, or belief drove this decision is irrelevant. What matters is the logic sacrificed the few to preserve the system. Save the order, save the community. That is the Hamartia, the fatal flaw. They survived physically but amputated their own moral core. Fromville is that decision fossilized. The creatures aren't random monsters, they embody the roles that once justified that choice. The nurse who rationalizes, the sheriff who enforces, the pastor who sanctifies, the provider who normalizes. They replay this logic endlessly. The monster's fixation on consent is the most chilling aspect of this theater. Evil in Fromville doesn't force its way in, it waits to be invited. It preys on our human desire to be polite or hopeful. Tabitha was right to clarify it's a raven, not a crow. Crows are tricksters, minor nuisances. Ravens, however, are observers, messengers of cosmic tragedy, keepers of memory. A group of ravens is called an unkindness, which perfectly encapsulates the decision made in the past. It was a choice devoid of kindness. The monsters mimic kindness with smiles and soft voices, concealing their pure indifference. Fromville is a stage caught between Hamartia and Anagnorisis. It lacks catharsis, a calm, rational absence of compassion. Monsters make kindness like a costume. They smile, use names, and mimic warmth. But beneath that facade lies indifference. They're not angry, they're procedural. That's far colder. It's a narrative about a wound that was never allowed to heal. Fromville isn't a prison, it's a rehearsal space. What repeats there isn't hunger, survival, or even cruelty. The most unsettling detail isn't the claws, it's the knock. They ask to be let in. They smile, speak softly, and wait. Evil here doesn't invade, it requests participation. The system demands your cooperation. Kevin opens the window. Megan unlocks the window. Sarah leaves the clinic open. Boyd opens the clinic doors under pressure. Every breach is framed as a choice. This is crucial. If the original sin was a collective agreement to sacrifice, then every door open echoes that agreement, a rehearsal of consent. The horror isn't forced, it's invited. Fromville isn't punishing weakness, it's probing morality under siege. The monsters aren't demons, they're reminders. They represent the preserved roles of a society until someone disrupts that logic, not through violence or cleverness,